welcome into Beyond the Arc with Eagles head coach Megan Gebbia. And Coach, coming off a tough weekend in Philadelphia against St. Joe's and Buffalo, but there were some positives to take away from the weekend.
Yeah, I think just having to play 2 games in 2 days is hard just to begin with because of the prep time. You don't have a ton of time to get ready for the next opponent. I actually thought we played better in the second game than we did the first game with more prep time, so whatever. But yeah, we try to focus on the details, I think, and us just getting better as a team, as a collective unit and not as individuals per se. So we did a pretty good job with Buffalo with their leading scorer. I think she was the second leading scorer in the country, averaging 26, and we held her to 12. I think they were 13th in the country in offensive rebounds, and we were like 352 in the country in offensive rebounds, out-offensive rebounded them. So I was pretty proud of those things. You got to look at the minor things that you're improving upon and move forward with it, and hope in the hopes that we continue to get better along the way.
And when you look at that, what do you think were the keys to being able to do that against Buffalo?
Yeah, I think it was probably the loss the day before.
Okay,
and
so
just
that really fired up everybody.
Yeah, I think St. Joe's had, 18 offensive rebounds, so it was probably good timing that happened at that point. Not that you ever want to lose, but sometimes you have to learn the hard lessons. And we learned a hard lesson that game of we have to box out. So even though we didn't have a practice to get ready for Buffalo, we said, if you don't box out, you're going to get crushed. I mean, that's just how the game works. So I think it was the lesson the day before, for sure.
Now, you're concentrating on defense
Yes.
this week, and that's one of the big keys. The D is key.
Yes.
And so talk about how you're focusing on defense and what it is that you're looking at really trying to get better at.
Sure. We're talking about just being in a stance. More often than not, we stand a lot. And that's just understanding how hard you need to play every time down the floor. We talked about our ball screen defense and how we're going to change some things there because what we were doing before wasn't working, and there was too much question marks involved with that type of ball screen defense. So I think that's helping because I'm watching practice this week after, and I see some improvements being made. So I think the communication's a little bit better. But really just individual one-on-one defense has to be better because if we're forced to rotate all the time, we're going to get crushed on the boards because we're rotating guards on posts and things like that. So it will get better. Having Minnesota come in here does not make me feel great.
Right.
But again, it's another great challenge for us to see if we can now take what we've done this week and implement it in the game and see what we've accomplished in practice and just moving forward. We'll see. I'm not sure.
Do the players seem to be latching on to the idea of, hey, we really need to get better at defense, and the fact that you're focusing so much on defense this week leading up to the game against the Golden Gophers, and maybe not so much on the offensive side of things, but defense, defense, defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we're talking about right now, so they better. But no, even in the locker room when we watched the Buffalo game, because it felt better after we played the game because we brought energy. And then I went back and watched, I'm like, it wasn't better. It was just we played harder. And so that's a step. That's one little minor step that we need to make. Now it's this whole week of going through the defense, and I think I saw every player shake their head when I was pointing things out that we were doing wrong, like, yeah, we have to get better at that. And I see a different effort from even the starting group with their effort in practice and trying to rotate and trying to communicate and getting to spots quicker has been good. It's just, can you do it for as long as you're in the game? And I think it's on me to get them out and sub them more a little bit so they're a little fresher on the defensive end.
Now let's talk about getting Minnesota into Bender Arena, a Big Ten team coming here to the campus of American University. Don't see that all the time.
No.
How did that happen? Take us through the process of that,
well,
and the idea there.
They actually contacted me last year because they were coming to play GW. And so they needed a second game, and obviously DC is a great place to spend some time. So I'm like, yeah, well, why not? We have Taylor Brown on our team who's from Minnesota who'll be a junior, so we'll be able to take her home next year, which is great for her and her family, and we'll be able to spend some time with them. Which I love doing. So yeah, it was an easy choice for me. I like to schedule up and play difficult teams, and they're a great team. They all 5 stars, I think, average double digits, so it'll be a challenge, but a great one. And obviously, a Hall of Fame coach or player / coach is coming into our gym, which is pretty exciting for us.
When you've seen Lindsay Whalen as a coach, which she hasn't been a coach all that long, but 2-time as far as a player, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 4-time WNBA champ. She is the Golden Gophers' all-time scoring leader. What do you see from her as a coach?
Yeah, it's tough because you remember watching her as a player and thinking, wow, this girl is really good. I mean, just the way she's able to score and pass and just understand the game. I'm assuming she's imparting her knowledge of what she saw as a player onto her team, because I feel like I didn't see them play last year. I don't know what they did, and that was, I think, her first year. But I'm sure they're getting smarter and smarter and making better decisions throughout her time there. So you could see that she's developing them as a group and as a team. And her being a part of so many great teams, I'm sure she understands how to bring people together and win. So, and she's done that. So I think she's doing a good job.
Ty Bello is a big player for them. And she's averaging a double-double. I think it's 13 points, 10 rebounds, 2 or 3 blocks a game.
Yeah.
A handful.
Yeah, she is. Good luck. No, but honestly, Morgan, Taylor, Carla, those 3 in particular are going to have to. We're going to sub them in and out. So she has different people to look at every time. I sub somebody else in. They're different styles of players. She just cleans up on the boards. I mean, it's impressive to see how quickly she gets off the floor and how well she times everything. So she's going to be a handful for sure. But their whole team is good. So it's like we can't just focus on her. We have to focus on everybody and try to, like I said, play a little bit more individual defense so we don't have to dig down as much and leave their three-point shooters open.
Golden Gophers coming up here at Bender Arena on Sunday afternoon. You can catch the game. And for more information, log on to aueagles.com. It's time for our first timeout. When we continue, Nikki Flores, one of the assistant coaches, joins the conversation.
Welcome to our sleepy little college town. You may have heard of us. Here we stand up for causes as naturally as we sit down for classes. We believe that knowledge, understanding, and discovery will make the world a better place, and that our contributions are only limited by our imaginations. Words, medals, and degrees don't make us who we are. Meaningful change does.
We are American.
And there's nothing we would rather be.
Welcome back to Beyond the Arc with Coach Gebbia. We're now joined by assistant coach Nikki Flores. Thanks for taking some time.
Absolutely.
All right, so you handle recruiting. That's one of your jobs. What else do you work on? What else do you focus on?
Scouting. I have a couple scouting reports that gave me the bigger number of non-conference scouting reports this year. So I've had a pretty hefty load this year so far. And I work with the combos. So the Fish, the Gray Talks, the Rennies of the world, and Sadie when she's ready to go. Those are my 2 biggest things that I do aside from recruiting.
Now talk about the structure of the staff, because some staffs do a little bit of everything and help out with all the different positions. Yeah. And since you go more with specialization, just talk about the idea behind that and why you think that's.
Well, I feel like it's important for them to feel like they're a part of the program, right? And in order to do that, I think you have to be in charge of people, because they all want to be head coaches someday. So I figure why not? Yeah. So Nikki, like she mentioned, she's in charge of the combos. Emily does the wings, and Tiffany does the post players. And I think that's that person that they go to for film and questions and anything regarding our system and style of play. So it's helpful that they've all been here for as long as they have, because for me, I don't have to worry about what they're saying and breakdown and things like that. So it's been a really positive experience so far, I think, for all 3 assistants.
Let's jump into the recruiting process and the fact that you guys have just announced 2 big signees.
Yeah.
Ivy Bales, Emily Johns, both 1,000-point scorers. I guess let's start with you, Nikki. Tell us
Sure.
how they came to AU, how you got them.
Well, the cool part is we like to keep track of who we've been recruiting the longest, and those 2 were one of our originals, the both of them.
They're OGs.
Yeah, our OGs. we have our nice little board that we have, and we write down names of the ones like on an actual piece of paper that we originally started with. So we save those. We have those 2. But yeah, I mean from the get-go, I think the 2 of them wanted to be here. So I think that's the unique part about them, is that we didn't have to sell, we didn't have to convince, we didn't have to. They saw themselves here. They came to visit. They took the time. But yeah, I think they're going to be great additions to the program.
Yeah, I agree with Nikki. I think because they visited and they felt that family feeling from our staff and the players helped. They're both great students, and I think that just fits this school. So I can see them doing a lot of great things after they graduate, which is cool. Their games and their style of play fit what we're looking for. And a guard and a post, and you just know, like, when they know me well enough to know that if I'm going to offer somebody or I'm not.
Indeed we do.
They know me well enough to know, and I think they kept putting these people in front of me, like, you need to watch them. And so I watched them over and over and over again, and just felt like, yes, these are kids that are skilled, that understand kind of what we do offensively and defensively. I know Emily Johns basically runs a motion. It's not the same, but it's similar. And so to see her fitting in as a freshman, within the style of play was an easy one for me. And then Ivy, just her athleticism at the wing position, the ability to score, and we could use another kid like a Jade Edwards. I mean, she's not quite as athletic as Jade, but she's a good finisher around the basket. She can create her own shot. She's an excellent passer. So I'm excited to see how they fit in as freshmen next year.
Now, those players, those two, are from the United States.
They are.
You guys are expanding the recruiting process and
Trying
going
to.
a little international action.
Yes, we did.
Last year went to Macedonia, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Correct.
man, what a
It
trip.
was awesome.
How'd that come about?
So we talked about it. Nikki and I
It was an
talked
adventure.
about it, and I was like, finally, I'm like, let's just do it. We've been talking for 6 years about, do we want to do the international thing? You see Barry have a lot of success with volleyball. Steve has had a lot of success. I'm like, why are we not doing this? And it's just biting the bullet, money-wise, and just doing it. And we decided, you know what? Let's do it. So she put it together. She kept prodding me like, we're doing this, right, Jeb? We're doing this.
I looked up flights. This is what the flights look like. Are we going to go? And finally, it was like, all right, I need a decision. You have to say yes or no, and then we're going to book it. She goes, yes. I'm like, great.
So much
Done.
fun. So much fun. Just to see that level of basketball.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
The games were really good. The discipline was good. The fundamentals were great. They're players that we see fit into our system. It's just about staying in contact with them and getting them here, right? That's the hardest part. It's easy to go over and evaluate them, but it's that piece of, getting them to feel like this is a place they would want to see. And DC also helps, right? I mean, a lot of those players want to be in a city because they want to be able to get around when they have downtime. Not that they have a ton, as we know, they don't have a lot of downtime. But seriously, just being able to do extracurriculars when they can is important to them. So I feel like we're in a great spot to do that, and seeing other programs be effective with it, just a no-brainer for me.
How tough is it to stay in contact with them, being international kids?
I mean, in general, even kids in the States, it's just when we get into season, it gets a little crazy. But as long as WhatsApp is a beautiful thing for international kids, and they're very responsive. They're very responsible. I feel like at least the kids that we've talked to from international recruiting, but they basically know what they want for the most part. There's no wishy-washy. Like, let me just figure this out. They usually know what they want for the most part. It just takes them some time to really decide, make the final decision. But
It's different because, like she's saying, when they come and visit, usually they commit.
They know.
Or they're deciding between two schools. It's not like 10 schools and they narrow it like this kid's in the States. It's like once they know, and they're not afraid to pull the trigger, which is what you want if you know that you want that kid. And for us to be able to go over and see them live makes it easier for me to make those decisions instead of basing it off of film, which I've done in the past.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we also make sure we made it a trip.
Oh, absolutely. We had fun.
I scheduled her every second of the day. I was just like, okay, we're going to land and we're going to do this. She's like, you know what time it's going to be back home? I'm like, yes, and I don't care.
She made me. I drank so much coffee. The coffee and actually could eat bread. It was awesome.
Yes.
The experience as a whole was so worth it that we can't wait to go back and follow some of the kids that we have on our list already.
Yeah. So every second was accounted for.
Every second.
That's her though. That's Nikki. Nikki was like the Dobo out there. It was for everybody. Everybody that was there, she was scheduling everything for everyone, and I think everyone appreciated it.
I was like,
especially
dinner spots. This is where we're gonna go. What do you guys think? And they're like, oh, okay, done.
Yeah. It was easy. She
So-
made it easy.
So what was the most fun part of it outside of the basketball side of things? What was the most fun part of going to Macedonia?
The winery? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it just, the Skopje itself of the city was just a really cool city because it has a lot of different cultures all mixed into one, and I haven't seen anything like that. I also haven't spent a ton of time in Europe, so it was just kind of me dipping my toe in.
Yep.
And I'm just like, Jeb, we're going out. We're going to be walking around.
We're just trying to figure it out. I think that was fun. Just trying to figure out how everything works over there.
The driving.
The driving was
that was
bizarre.
interesting.
That was a little strange.
You guys were actually driving?
Yes,
drove.
she got a car. Everybody wanted to ride with us.
No, we had everybody in our car. I'm like, what is someone going to pay us? Like, we're like taxis out here. That was an interesting experience, but
And how cheap the food was.
oh my,
You could eat so much food.
you could eat for
dirt
10
cheap.
people for like $1. I was amazed
it's
by
crazy.
it, but the food was excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it was just a little bit of the culture, getting the culture.
The
I think,
culture was a cool part.
Pretty awesome.
Definitely.
First of hopefully many trips
Yes.
to Europe.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Nikki, thanks for taking some time.
No problem.
Nikki Flores right there. That'll do it for this edition of Beyond the Arc with Coach Gebbia. For all the latest, be sure and check out all the social media platforms. For Coach, I'm Dan. We'll see you next time.